This is Jocko Podcast number 4 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. So, several years ago, I was at the UFC. And I've been to a lot of UFCs, love going to watch UFCs, and I've been to, I don't even know how many, but it's many. Many times I was there with fighters that I trained, cornering them, or with fighters that I trained with, and I was watching them. So I've been to a lot of UFCs. And this one in particular, I don't even remember which fight it was, and who was fighting, or who I was coaching, or whatever. But my work for the night was done. And so now it was time to kind of sit back and relax and watch the rest of the fights. And I actually linked up with one of my good SEAL friends who I was in Ramadi with. And we were sitting there having a good time. This is post Ramadi. I think this is around 2007, 2008. So we've been home for a year or two. And we're sitting there watching, enjoying. And all of a sudden, in the arena that we were in, there's big giant screens, and the UFC plays various advertisements in between fights. And normally there's some noise and there's background and there's people who kind of continue with what they're doing. For whatever reason, this advertisement came on and it captured everyone's attention, not just mine. So we're sitting there and all of a sudden, kind of everyone was sort of captivated by this advertisement that came up on the screen. And it was a commercial for a video game. And I'm not a video game player, and I just don't know much about video games. But the video game was called Gears of War. And the commercial was right here. And if you're watching this on YouTube, we're going to have to send you to the link, because we don't want to interfere with the rights of the commercial. So we'll put that in the link on YouTube. But it's a Gears of War. If you type into YouTube, Gears of War, Rendezvous with Death, you will see this commercial. Honestly, as I see this, I'm kind of surprised or shocked and maybe even a little bit embarrassed because something about that commercial hit me in a way that I didn't think that some Hollywood video game commercial producer should be able to do. I felt like that shouldn't be able to happen. And I don't feel like that very often. And so when the fights were over and I got back to my hotel room, and when I got there, I was still thinking about this. I was still thinking about this commercial that I saw. And so I opened up my computer and I Googled Rendezvous with Death. And sure enough, there it was. Not the video game commercial, but a poem, a real poem that was written by a real poet who was a real warrior. And I did some research on him. It turns out this guy that wrote this poem was named Seeger. He was born in 1888, raised in Staten Island, New York, had a pretty privileged upbringing, went to private schools, ended up going to college at Harvard. He was classmates with T.S. Eliot, so he was kind of surrounded by very important and influential people. And when he graduated from Harvard, he went to Paris. And from what I can tell, he wanted to kind of continue this lifestyle of an artist or of a poet. And while he was in Paris, World War I broke out. And on August 24th, 1914, Seeger joined the French Foreign Legion. He wrote in a letter to his mom about this move, I hope you see the thing I do and think that I have done well, being without responsibilities and with no one to suffer materially from my decision. In taking upon my shoulders, too, the burden that so much of humanity is suffering under, and, rather than stand ingloriously aside when the opportunity was given me, doing my share for the side that I think right. So this young guy goes off, and he actually wrote a bunch of letters home, and he kept a journal as well, which is very interesting, and perhaps that will become one of our future topics on this podcast. But the poem, which is called Rendezvous, actually is a little bit longer than what they put in the commercial.